Why should I love this gentleman? 'Tis odds. He never will affect me. I am base. My father, the mean keeper of his prison, and he a prince. To marry him is hopeless. To be his whore is witless. Out upon it. What pushes are we wenches driven to when 15 once has found us? First, I saw him. I, seeing, thought he was a goodly man. He has as much to please a woman in him, if he choose to bestow it so, as ever these eyes yet looked on. Then I pitied him, as would any young wench on my conscience that's ever dreamed or vowed her maidenhead to a young, handsome man. Then I loved him. Extremely loved him, infinitely loved him. To hear him sing in an evening, what a heaven it is. And yet his songs are sad ones. Fairer spoken was never gentleman. When I bring him water in the morning, first he bows his noble body, then salutes me thus: "Fair gentle maid, good morrow, may thy goodness get thee a happy husband." Once he kissed me. I loved my lips the better 10 days after. Would he would do so every day. He grieves much, and me as much to see his misery. What should I do to make him know I love him? For I would fain enjoy him. Say I venture to set him free. What says the law then? Thus much for law or kindred. I will do it, and this night or tomorrow he will love me. For those of us who cannot indulge the passing dreams of choice, for those of us who were imprinted with fear, like a faint line in the center of our foreheads, learning to be afraid with our mother's milk. For by this weapon, this illusion of some safety to be found, the heavy-footed hoped to silence us. For all of us, this instant and this triumph, we were never meant to survive. And when we are loved, we are afraid love will vanish. When we are alone, we are afraid love will never return. And when we speak, we are afraid our words will not be heard nor welcomed. But when we are silent, we are still afraid. So it is better to speak, remembering we were never meant to survive. Afterwards, I took a walk. Didn't want to go home. Him, sitting there, talking bollocks. I walked for miles. I wasn't scared. I just walked and walked and walked. Oh, and I could feel the night around me brushing my skin. Oh, it was like it was brushing my skin. And all that's going through my head for some reason is this thing my dad used to say when I was a kid. For some reason, I remember this. And this is from before he was a cunt. When he was a man. When he was a real big man. He used to say that the reason the Soviet bloc fell was because in 1989 there was a global nuclear war that killed every single man, woman and child on this planet. But it was such a massive shock that we didn't realise we was dead. So we just carried on with our lives. But our hearts knew there wasn't any point. That's why everything is so shit. Imagine saying that to a little girl. But I loved it. I thought it was so clever. And now, on this night, that's all that's going through my head again and again and again. We're all dead. We're all dead. We're all dead. And I'm in this park. I don't remember getting in. I must have climbed over a wall or again. They're big walls too. But this park is huge. It's got whole hills and trees and all sorts. And I'm wandering round this park 2, 3 o'clock in the morning. I don't know. And it's just me. Me and the park. And I sit down. And that's fine. That's fine. I can see no trace of civilization whatsoever. Sitting there. And I begin to think that I'd like to live in this park. I begin to think of it, but I begin to think of it as a real possibility. And I'm thinking I could build a shelter here. And during the day, I could hide out here. And at night, I could wander around the park. And I'm thinking I could catch squirrels or something. But I mean, This is such a strong feeling. This feels like a real possibility. And I feel all right. And the sun is coming up. And I realise that from where I am, I can see people after all. Now that there's light through the trees, I can just shops, the backs of shops, and parked cars. And it's the city. It feels like the beginning of the city. And I feel all right. I feel good now. I feel like maybe we're not dead after all. And this is going to sound silly, all right? But because of how I'm feeling, I pour my love into the city to help. I try to help. Like it's a liquid. And I'm standing there, sun rising, pouring my love into the city. That's what I'm doing. And then I remember I always used to think there was grown-ups somewhere. Do you know what I mean, though? Like, someone in charge, running the show, who knows what's best. I always used to think there was grown-ups. But now I know there are no grown-ups. There's just us.